Great.
Right. So Dean, over to you. Thanks a lot for our session on Ansys Cloud.
Thank you very much for the wonderful intro, Laura. Apologies in advance. I would share my camera, but my bandwidth is being really funny today, which is kind of ironic as I'm the cloud person. So you'll have to imagine what I look like. There are some pictures of me on LinkedIn, so feel free to add me on there. So I'm going to keep it quite lightweight today and give you an introduction to Ansys Cloud, what it is, why are we doing something about the hardware problem that our customers are facing, considering we're a software company, and how are we doing it slightly differently to other products that may be on the market. Very high level agenda. We'll talk challenges, we'll talk benefits, we'll talk solution. We've actually onboarded about 800 customers in this year alone in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So we have lots and lots of customer success stories. We'll talk about pricing and packaging. How does it work, practically speaking, and then there might be a few extra slides if there's questions that are kind of pertinent to that. Let's look at the challenge. It's a very straightforward. It's a challenge that every customer shares. No one is too big to have this challenge. No one is too small to have this challenge, and it's a challenge that we're now actively trying to solve. So, the vast majority of our customers are quite project dependent. Projects come in, they go, they come in again, they go again, and that presents our customers with a pretty, obvious challenge in the sense that the demand on hardware capacity is always oscillating. You need lots, you need very few, you need lots, you need very few. Servicing that demand with traditional methods of hardware consumption, on-premises high-performance computing, kind of solves the challenge, but not in the best way. So if you kind of pull out of this particular challenge and you think, well, how could we solve this? The old-fashioned way of doing it, and certainly, what many customers continue to do, is they buy, in excess tin, so more servers to service, this very large job. The job goes, and they've got, a surplus of capacity. So what cloud does, not just Ansys Cloud, but what cloud does, cloud as a service providers, in some cases DIY cloud options, is we try to match demand with with supply that is necessary at the time. So this kind of traditional oscillation of demand, it is solved by giving you HPC as and when you need it. If you go back to my first slide, HPC as easy as it should be. I think that's a great tagline for us, but I think most cloud providers would say something reasonably similar, in the sense that all of our customers have this one challenge: having cloud on demand, having cloud as a service, not having to worry about managing tin, managing virtual machines, is a pretty good way to solve this challenge. And then we talk to our customers. So we think that's the problem. We're pretty sure that's the problem. But when we drill into the problem and we ask customers, hey, we think this is a problem. Are you having this problem? So 52% of our customers, again, this isn't limited to enterprise or mid-market or startups. 52% of our customers say this is, in the top 3 business challenges that they're looking to solve in the immediate future. So 1 in 2, that's a pretty big challenge. Okay, and then we drill into those numbers a bit more. 25% of our customers, this is the pretty shocking statistic, and to some extent I'm sure it may describe some of you. 25% of our customers are running complex simulations on 4 core machines. If you take a off-the-shelf laptop, something that you could buy in any consumer goods electronic store, on average they're 4 core machines. I mean, in some cases they're 2 core machines. So 1 in 4 of our customers are running complex simulations on 4 core machines, and that's that's a hardware limitation in and of itself. And then we drill into those numbers. 21% of our customers are saying that the solve times are taking longer than 9 hours. So that's, and this is no different. I'm in customer calls all the time, and it doesn't matter where customers are located. They say, if I could wave a magic wand and change one thing about my workflow, it wouldn't be that I set it and I leave it overnight and I come back and it's done. It would be that I set it, I leave it, and I go for a sandwich and it's done. I go for a coffee and it's done. And then I can analyze my data. So this is a very real problem. Let's not call it a problem. Let's call it a challenge, because it's always been a challenge. We have a really cool way of solving it now. So this is a kind of a really high level challenge for a number of our customers. Okay. And it has a real world material impact. There's lots of numbers on this slide, but the most important one is the bottom one. Hardware constraints negatively impacted simulation effectiveness for almost 75% of users. That's a pretty scary statistic when you think about the nature of our business. Ansys is a public company. You can find all of our financial data on the internet. And we have pretty aggressive growth targets. We're trying to grow our top line and our bottom line by 10% a year, and that's heavily dependent on the sale of software solvers and all everything that goes into multi-physics simulation. But if our customers are struggling because of hardware limitations on premises, then we go, right, we have to build a product, even though that we're a simulation company, and we have a very strong knowledge base. We're a gold source in that kind of area, in that kind of field of expertise. We need to develop a product that will remove this challenge for all of our customers, and B, we've got to make it really cost effective, because otherwise they're going to go shopping elsewhere, and that could be a challenge. If we can integrate something into the application, let's just do that. So we no longer have customers who are just running on the hardware capacity of their local machines. Okay, so we know it affects all of our customers. We know it's on their radar to solve this problem, and quantifiably, there is an impact. There's a business impact. If our customers cannot do more because of hardware limitations on premises, it's our job to remove those hardware limitations. What are the benefits? I mean, it's pretty straightforward, I think. Here's the thing about Ansys Cloud. Our customers are you. Everyone in this digital room is an engineering expert of some degree, or you manage engineering resource or something. Okay, high performance computing is a completely different school of thought. It's a completely different field of expertise. So we can't build, and this is the third thing, we can't build a product that is too complicated to use, because you spent years training and refining your craft in engineering. So we need to give you the tools that you can, you click a button and it's there, kind of thing. So what are the advantages of Ansys Cloud? Well, if you, by literally clicking a box, are no longer running your simulations on 4 cores and instead running your simulations on 32 cores or 64 cores or 1,000+ cores, you are going to solve your calculations faster. Okay, that is the main problem. There are some really great benefits as well to Ansys Cloud. When we specifically talk about Ansys solvers and Ansys workflow, it is the only software vendor that fully integrates the Ansys Cloud platform into the applications. If you're using mechanical or HFSS or electronics desktop, you do not have to leave that application to push your job to cloud compute. And then we have to talk about where the product sits. Currently, it's on Microsoft Azure. And there are a few questions about that sometimes, very rarely, but there are a few. You need to remember that Ansys, as a software company, are completely agnostic. We'll partner with whoever we want to partner with if we think they're going to do a great job. Case in point, we partner with QFinsoft because we think QFinsoft are the best at what they do where they are. And conversely, we partner with Microsoft Azure because we think Microsoft Azure are the best high performance computing partner for multi-physics simulations, and they have a good strategic plan. So our vision for the future is pretty straightforward. By the end of 2020, we were able to support all of our solvers in the Ansys Cloud platform. In 2021, we kind of rolled that out to all of the complementary and platform products and everything else like Speos and Discovery and pretty much anything you use today. you can run in Ansys Cloud. 2022 and beyond, Ansys Cloud is the backbone for cloud-based simulation solutions. So there's two things we mean by that. We're talking about custom workflows. That's been a huge ask, particularly in the enterprise space. They love Ansys Cloud. They love it. They didn't think they'd love it as much as they do, but they love it. How can we bring third-party tools, third-party applications that make up the tool chain into Ansys Cloud? Well, that's something that we will have done in 2022. And then multi-physics simulations, so coupling, say, mechanical with HFSS and stuff like that. So we have a pretty bold, audacious goal, considering where we came from a year ago to where we're on track to be next year. That's the vision. That's some of the cool stuff you can do. When we try to compartmentalize a typical customer, it's easy to do it this way, right? If you look, go back 20 years, right? 20 years ago, every CAE customer did everything locally. You wouldn't dream of doing anything in the cloud. There are too many question marks over it. The bandwidth. Can I upload and download things at a reasonable time? Absolutely, you can't. Security. Who wants to send their critical IP to a data center somewhere they don't understand, right? So that's kind of yesterday's customer, and then tomorrow's customer will be using nothing but Ansys Cloud. That's kind of the idea. And I think, a lot of us may truly love being on premises, but we got to get real a little bit. I mean, in 20 years' time, how many of us will be running local machines? It's probably unlikely, with all the money that's available in the hyperscaler world. So tomorrow's user is probably running a thin client, a 2-core machine. They're sending things across the airwaves via 6G at this point, maybe even 7G. And things are solving in a cloud environment very, very quickly, and they're bringing it back and it's stored on shared storage. So that's kind of the idea. And if we think about it as a range, you've got yesterday's customer on one side and tomorrow's customer on one side of the spectrum. All of our customers fall somewhere on the range, right? But long story short, they're all kind of gradually moving towards the profile of tomorrow's customer. And then let's look at the solvers again, and another really nice metaphor here. I think it's a fair assessment to say Ansys solvers are kind of market leaders in what they try to achieve. When we talk about structural, physics workflows and electronics and HFSS and Fluent and CFD and all the great things that come with it, our solvers are complex. They're ergonomic. We try to make it very user friendly as possible and pack as much kind of machinery into it as possible to service every possible job that you have for a type of physics. They're complex beasts. They require huge teams to keep them going. If that's the product that you have, presumably everyone on this call has a solver of some description. If that's the product that you have, but the machine that you're running on is a 4-core machine or a 12-core cluster, but the architecture is slightly old, right? That's another thing. It's not just about core count, it's about architecture. So if the machines aren't fit for purpose, it doesn't matter if you've got a Ferrari Enzo, it doesn't matter if you've got a McLaren P1, Lamborghini Aventador, all your favorite supercars. It doesn't matter if you've got the supercar equivalent of a solver if your machines are not fit for purpose. What happens if you move to Ansys Cloud? Well, right, you unleash the full power, the real vision of the solver, and then everything around it as well, right? So what we don't do, and this is arguably the most important thing about cloud. What we don't do is we don't plug 2 machines together and go, there you go, there's a cloud solution for you. We have a team of experts, and it's fascinating to see these guys at work. It's 2 schools of expertise combined. It's high performance computing and multi-physics simulation. Good luck finding a team that wear 2 hats like that. It's very, very rare. So we have a team of experts, who are looking at the types of job submissions that are coming into cloud and going, okay, we're seeing a lot more kind of LS Dyna batch submissions. We're seeing a lot more kind of fluent meshes taking place in a virtual environment. So they're seeing all these types of jobs and they're going, let's go into Azure. Let's find the virtual machines that are going to do the best, are going to solve this job the quickest. Let's try clustering them a few times. Let's try undersubscribing the core count. So you have this really unique niche team of experts who are benchmarking constantly the virtual machines that we put in Ansys Cloud to run your jobs in the most efficient way. And I want to just labor the point on one point here. It's not about how many cores you have. Anyone can plug two machines together and go, hey, guess what? More cores, more compute power. It's not about that. It's about A, more cores, but B, the best architecture and the best cluster. So, we could give you a 16 core machine in Ansys Cloud where you've been running a 16 core machine locally, and you're going to see an improvement. You're going to see an increase in simulation throughput because the machine in Ansys Cloud is way more appropriate. Interconnectivity is better, clocking speed, all this kind of stuff. So really important that not only do you get the super highway, you get the team of experts with you. So, let's look at the high level benefits of cloud. I think we've covered the increase in simulation throughput. The pay for what you use model is great, really. It should be called redeem only what you use, because you pay up front for an amount of tokens, and then you redeem the tokens against different virtual machines. Our customers genuinely they love this about Ansys Cloud. They just pay up front. We kind of work out what the burn rate might be. We go, okay, how many, give me a typical job, right? 9 hours on a 16 core machine. Okay, what are you running? HFSS. Okay, interesting. Do you want to increase simulation throughput? Okay. How many jobs like that? Okay. And then over what we're doing then is over the next 12 months, we come up with a burn rate. We go, okay, well, here's so many tokens plus 15% to service your burn rate. And they go, great. Wow, this is so good and so transparent. And then they redeem as they go against virtual machines. Access the latest hardware at scale. This is so important. Maybe you've just started your journey to cloud. Maybe you're halfway through. Maybe you're a cloud veteran, whatever, right? Here's the thing. I mentioned earlier that tomorrow's user will only be using cloud resources. Might not be Ansys Cloud, but they'll only be using cloud resources. Why is that? Who are the main players in the market? Right, you got Microsoft, you got Google, you got IBM, you got Oracle Cloud, you got AWS. There aren't many. The cost to enter that market is extortionate. Amazon Web Services was running at a loss of like $10 billion for 5 years prior to turning a profit. No one can afford to get into this space, right? It's a complete duopoly, pretty much. The reason it's so important to recognize this is right, and we're seeing it right now, right? These hyperscalers are getting access to the fastest machines on the market before they're available at retail. Okay, so, and it's not just Ansys Cloud, any cloud, right? Coming into a cloud environment, you will get better, you get access to better machines that are available on the retail market, because these big hyperscalers are paying OEMs, server manufacturers, huge amounts of money to get them into their data center 6 months before they're available on the retail market. Very important that you understand that. And it's probably going to get worse. In the next 5 years, if you think more and more workflows are going to cloud, I think it's going to be a slightly different story. It could be a year before they're available on the retail market. And something from a procurement perspective, and certainly from a cost center perspective, you can move fixed expenses to variable expenses. So from CapEx to OpEx, and customers love this. It's a lot easier to manage an OpEx budget than a CapEx budget. I touched on the last point earlier, but I'm going to mention it again. Focus on engineering. Okay, we've all picked a path in life. Engineering for many of us. I mean, I'm kind of new to cloud. From an engineering perspective, I had to learn why we were doing something around cloud. But that's where I am now. We've all picked a path in life, and we've spent hundreds of hours refining that craft. So it doesn't make any sense to give you a product if you then have to learn from a grassroots approach what does it mean to be a cloud product. Everything happens within the application or the web portal. Your engagement with it is no longer than 5 minutes. You're spending all your time in the solver, and then you spend a little bit of time in the cloud portal, and that's it. And the reason I mention this is because other cloud partners, you won't have that same experience. You know, they don't. If we look at a typical cloud business, they have to make money reselling cloud resources. Okay, and in order to do that, they're going to cater to 60 plus vendor technologies. They won't have the team of expertise that I mentioned earlier, but they won't understand the challenge that comes with adopting a cloud platform, right? So, you know, there'll be more to learn with a third-party tool than there is with an integrated Ansys tool, is what I'm saying. But of course, you can trial this and you see this stuff yourself. Let's look at the solution very quickly. The Ansys portfolio is huge, right? I mean, I looked at the price book the other day. We have like 300 different SKUs. It's crazy. And, every year we're buying like 4 new businesses. So what we did last year is, rather than the cloud team taking ownership of integrating, various solvers and prep tools into the platform, we said, no, guys, this is crazy. We're going to build a solution for you to integrate your own products into the cloud platform. And as soon as we did that, we saw everything in the unified install of the portfolios start making an appearance in the Ansys Cloud platform. So there's loads of stuff on this board, but the reality is, if there's a solver that you use, if there's a pre or post processing tool that you use, optimization tools, whatever, if you're using it, it's almost certainly available in Ansys Cloud. We can always scrub it and very quickly look. The only ones that aren't necessarily available are technologies we've literally just bought. So there's a bit of a roadmap to getting it into the cloud. But some high level benefits, again, you can solve in the cloud or within the web portal. You can run interactive sessions, and the great thing about this is it's not RDP, it's all through the browser. So we don't care about your firewall configuration, just go through the browser and log in and you're good. It's highly optimized for Ansys solvers. It's a single vendor solution. We've got a huge reach across the world and all sorts of great things. So very quickly, let's talk about the 3 core pillars here. Why is Ansys Cloud? Why do we think Ansys Cloud is the best solution for Ansys solvers? We've spoken a great deal about workflow. Okay, it's integrated into the application. You won't get a tool that does that. Which means you don't have to learn anything else. And secondly, coming into the web portal, you can run a full back-to-back workflow within the web portal. So you can be running a 2-core machine, you do all your meshing, in Google Chrome, and then you push to compute from Google Chrome into a 120-core cluster, and then you bring it back, and you never leave the browser. You can do this on holiday. Not that you'd probably want to do that, or in the bathroom, who knows? But the workflow makes it very easy for you to do your job anywhere in the world. Performance, as I mentioned, we have a team of experts benchmarking around the clock for the best virtual machines, best clusters, all this stuff. And lastly, support. So, on a long enough timeline, one of 4 things will go wrong. There'll be an issue with the way the user interacts with the solver. There'll be a problem with the solver. There'll be a problem with the platform, or there'll be a problem with the hyperscaler. Right, that's Microsoft. With Ansys Cloud, it's one throat to choke. Okay, it's a single support ticket. Our team isolate and troubleshoot and fix the problem for you. Any other cloud platform, it's at least 2. You have to contact the cloud platform provider and then contact the solver, the vendor, right? So it's another thing that you need to think about, because stuff does go wrong. Despite having a 99% uptime SLA, stuff goes wrong. Stuff goes wrong all over the world. So having that insurance policy in place means that when it does go wrong, you are going to be supported immediately, and we'll get you back up and running as soon as possible. And we've also got, bizarrely, we've got loads of customer testimonials about our support, which is really, really good. What does the workflow look like? Well, it's pretty straightforward. And I just want to say, guys, the reason you're not seeing a huge, screenshots of cloud and all this kind of thing, it's not a solver. All the heavy lifting takes place behind closed doors, right? You don't see much of Ansys Cloud. You spend 10 seconds interacting with the job submission portal, and then it's doing all the heavy lifting behind you, right? So what does the workflow look like? Well, you've just done all your prep, and now you want to solve it. What do? You submit jobs from the desktop application the same way you would do it normally, be it to your machine or be it to an on-premises cluster, albeit to the cloud. You have that option now with Ansys Cloud. You can monitor it from the app or the cloud portal, which is, very nice. You can visualize your results in the cloud, so and actually your mobile phone or your iPad. So it's again really easy and ergonomic to use. We also, and we've got to say this, we just bought these two NVIDIA accelerated GPU nodes into the Ansys Cloud platform, and seeing the graphics displayed in real time is awesome. It's like playing a video game. It's really cool, and it's all happening within the browser. And you can download to your workstation, as and when you want. You can schedule it. You can do it immediately. It's up to you. The workflow is straightforward. There isn't really much to talk about, honestly. It's easy. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a few customer references or customer testimonials about our support team. So this is a really important thing to remember as well, right? So as soon as you let's start from the experience of the trial, and I would like to think that hopefully some of you will trial this product. As soon as you trial it, we give you an engineer, someone in that world who wears an Ansys Cloud hat and an Ansys Physics hat, and they'll hold your hand, they'll set you up, they'll give you best practice, they'll help you define a benchmark, they'll do all this stuff. So just that on its own is a huge amount of value add. We're literally coaching you guys from the ground up how to almost be a better, a more informed engineer in some cases. And we never asked for this from our customers, but we've been inundated with the technical expertise that customers receive from the trial, from the onboarding process when they become a production customer, and so the renewal process as well. Our customers love our support. What does the InBrowser interactive client look like? Well, it looks like this. You do cloud.ansys.com, you enter your user credentials. We now support SSO, which is awesome. We'll talk about that in a second. But you can run I mean, look, this is I'm just going to hazard a guess here. I mean, I'm on my laptop. I run a 4-core laptop right now. I would hazard a guess that for those of you working at home, you're probably on not much more than a 4-core machine, right? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I don't know. Maybe some of you have really high spec supercomputers. I don't know. But for the majority of customers, when they're in their home office, it's a 4-core machine. As soon as you go to cloud.ansys.com, just the prep, you can do it in up to a 120 core machine. Can you imagine how fast that is? And not just how fast it is, those 120 core machines are running accelerated NVIDIA GPUs. It's like playing a video game. It's crazy. It's so cool. So you can do all of your meshing, all of your prep, all of your performance optimization, and then you just push it to the cloud, right? And this is all done via an interactive browser session. It's not done via RDP. So you do not have to worry about your local firewall configurations. This is where we're based, the geos for hardware. So we've got 2 in Europe, Japan, India, whatever. But we're adding more and more data centers every time. One of the questions I've had from customers in South Africa is, what is the download upload speeds? What's the latency if my closest DC is kind of India Central or Europe? There are too many variables really to give you a solid answer. It depends on kind of one thing, and that's your internet pipe. But having said that, we've got customers running on internet pipes as low as 30 gigabits per second, and they're having a very similar experience to the customers in Europe. So the reality is, until you trial it, you won't really know. The trial is your acid test. But the only thing you need to worry about is sending your data to the data center, and then the solve takes place remotely. Is pulling that data back. But today, I think the biggest challenge is actually China, because they have the Great Firewall of China, don't they? But South Africa is, and most of Africa actually, pretty nice experience. But tell me if your experience is different. What's new in 2021 R1? Well, we got better price performance and up to 960 cores. That's the big deal. Loads of flexibility in our solvers. I think running applications interactively in browser. If I was going to say one thing, I'm seeing more and more customers do this. It started life as like a nice to have. Oh, I can do my prep in an interactive session. Let's have a play. Let's see what that looks like. And now we see all of our customers just running back-to-back workflows in an interactive session, because why wouldn't you, right? Why wouldn't you do that? if it's a choice between a 4-core machine locally or a 12-core machine, just by going, into Google, right, Google Chrome, what would you pick? You're going to do the interactive session. The elastic currency, the method of consuming this, and I'm going to be honest with you, I spoke about 3 pillars earlier, workflow, performance, and support. We are literally the cheapest on the market, and I'll back that up until the day I die. And the reason we are the cheapest is because we are not a cloud partner, right? We're not a cloud business. We don't care about making money on this. We make money from the sale of our solvers. You look at our income statement. It's available. Go on Yahoo Finance, check out our income statement. Look at where we make our money. We make all of our money in the like most of it is in the sale of mechanical, HFSS, electronics, and then some, we're doing loads and loads of business in LS Dyna. Why would we look to, make money here? We know that this is solving one problem. If customers have more hardware capacity, they're going to use more of our solvers. Our elastic pricing is competitive, it's easy to understand, and we are giving it to you super cheap because this is not a core part of our business. It's like we're giving it away so cheap so you can spend more time simulating. And then we talk about products. We now support Speos, we just support discovery. I'm not in charge of marketing. Someone else built this, but we should absolutely be talking about the fact that we now support LST, LS Dyna. We support Crash in cloud. That is like when, as soon as we supported Crash in cloud, that's when Ansys Cloud went from being, oh, this is an interesting growth product to a very important strategic product. When you think about all of our customers in automotive, loads and loads of great functionality. In fact, when we published this, we didn't have things that we have today. We have so much more functionality today. It's completely unreal as it's growing all the time. We do talk about LS Dyna. Yeah, there you go. So again, what's new in 2021 R2? All the Crash stuff, that's cool. I'm going to talk about this in more detail in a bit, but the ability to monitor your usage via analytics is so important, and you're going to have so much fun doing this. Let me tell you about my day. I make a coffee, I come in, I go into our license server. I'm such a geek. I pull CVS reports on what our customers are doing, and I'm just looking at how are our customers consuming this. And you'll do this as well. Even when you buy cloud, you're just going to do this all the time. So you can do so much analytics with what your users are doing, what projects are consuming the most hardware resources. Awesome. We now rolled out SSO. We're in the process of rolling out federated SSO. If any of you are really into your security. And there's improved file management as well. Loads and loads and loads of cool stuff going into the platform. Yeah, let's skip past some of this stuff. Okay, so we've just introduced HBV3s. Again, I don't expect you to understand this in great detail. That is a very, very powerful machine. It's like the Dwayne Johnson, the Rock of virtual machines, right? We had to figure out how to integrate this properly because it's a very expensive machine if you don't know how to kind of leverage it. But thankfully, because we have so many customers spending money with Ansys Cloud, we now spend a huge amount of money with Microsoft Azure. So this is so cheap now. The HBV3 is super cheap and it's a super computer. And we have a number of customers who are using the HBV3, particularly for electronics, where it can be very expensive if you're simulating a chip, for example, to do very advanced accelerated multi-physics solves. We're going to skip past some of this stuff because I'm a little bit conscious of time. From a security point of view, we are now SOC 2 accredited. If you're not familiar with what SOC 2 is, I guarantee you some members in your organization probably will be, particularly in the IT group. So SOC 2 is a rubber stamp that says, hey, guess what? We take customer data seriously. We look after it. We take people in our network seriously. If we're SOC 2 compliant, we answer a very important question to your IT department very quickly. Yes, we are a secure product. If you have an NDA with us, we can give you your SOC 2 report. And if you don't, we can give you a SOC 3 report. Very confusing, but rest assured, we can give you a report that backs all this stuff up. If you want to learn more, if you've got your smartphone on you, quite quickly take a snap of the QR code. We've got a bunch of white papers and stuff that are really going to help your IT group go, okay, right, it's fine. These guys take security seriously. Right, let's skip past some of this. stuff, because I've basically all of this stuff, we're now kind of in customer testimonial territory. Okay, we get it. I think I've sold the vision. You know, if you're going to run Ansys Cloud, you're going to increase your simulation throughput on any solver. Look, there's Fluent, here's Mechanical, here's LS Dyna, here's LS Dyna OptiSlang. Wow, great. Okay, this is cool. I still think this is cool. We were able to solve a chip. We had a customer solve a chip on Ansys Cloud a while ago now, but I still think it's really important. When you think about the industry trends, right? And this is kind of buzzwords, engineering 4.0, 5G, digital twin, all that kind of stuff. The fact that we can A, simulate a chip, B, simulate radio frequencies in cloud, stuff that's really, really computer intensive. That's cool. That's really, really, really cool. And that's when we kind of consider that Ansys Cloud is, we're in big boy territory. We're doing all the right things. I want to talk about, these are some customers I've worked personally with, Van Oord and some others. So Van Oord, I'm just going to touch very briefly on these. I'm not too sure if anyone here is kind of in the energy sector. Energy is probably one of our fastest growing sectors for cloud. The reason being, all of the governments across the world, they've got tax credits to give to businesses who are kind of working on renewable energy projects. Sorry. So you can imagine there's this conveyor belt of renewable energy products. It comes, it goes, it comes, it goes, it comes, it goes. So Van Oord, the way that they're leveraging Ansys Cloud is to retain as much margin as possible in those project bids. Okay, so if they're getting paid, I don't know, let's say they're getting paid 100 million, right? Finger in the air, 100 million, 10 million, I don't know, to produce something. How can they squeeze as much value out of that budget as possible? Well, if they use Ansys Cloud and the Elastic tokens for on-demand usage, right, hardware and the occasional bit of software that they need rather than buying a lease license for the year, they're going to retain a huge amount of money, and then that's going to, that's all net profit and stuff for them, right? Van Oord, I use this as an example of what a number of customers in fast growth verticals are doing, particularly startups are doing. They're not just using Ansys Cloud, they're using Ansys Cloud plus Elastic Currency, on-demand solver, HPC usage and hardware. And if you want to ask me more about that, following this or using QFinsoft as kind of a mediator for that, talk to me, because I can, honest to God, tell you how you can quantifiably save money on projects by retaining margin using Elastic Currency really effectively. It is not a replacement to traditional lease and paid up licensing in any stretch of the word, but if used creatively, you will retain money on a lot of these project bids. And there's some more customer reference. I mean, there's so many, almost gets a bit boring after a while. Let's talk about something cool. Let's talk about pricing, because I'm a little bit conscious of time. So in order to use cloud, you need two things. There's two components. There's the Cloud Essential subscription. Okay, that's number one. There's two flavors. There's 3 months and there's 12 months. Okay, you get access to cloud resources for 3 months, or you get cloud resources for 12 months. It includes a bunch of stuff. It includes the support, loads of stuff that we don't need to drill into the details on. Suffice to say that if you have it, you can use cloud resources anywhere, and you've got the support to back that up. Okay, great. That's number one. Oh, and also, if for whatever reason you need some extra storage, we can do that. We sell it in increments of 1 terabyte per user per month. But trust me, I think we've onboarded about 800 customers. There are 5 customers who need additional storage, and these customers are like massively memory intensive. It's like crash customers. If that describes you, we can talk about this, but it's 1 terabyte of storage in most cases is more than enough. So so you've got the cloud subscription, and then you've got the pool of Elastic Currency. Okay, so the two components. We're going to spend the next few minutes talking about what Elastic Currency is and what it does. Okay, so Elastic Currency is the successor to the Elastic Unit. I don't know if any of you use Elastic Units. If you didn't, don't worry about it. This is new. Elastic Currency allows you to use software, HPC, and hardware as you go. You don't have to use any of them, right? By default, we're going to use your license pool already, right? So if you have 3 mechanical solver licenses, they will get used first. But in the event that you need an additional mechanical solver license, maybe someone's been seconded, maybe you have an intern, I don't know, right? You can use Elastic Currency to just very quickly check out an additional mechanical solver license for whatever project. And then the second component is HPC. Let's say, for example, that you have an on-premises cluster. Maybe you have a 32 core cluster, right? And we know that under a solver, you can run for 4 cores. Maybe you have one work group as well. I don't know. But you can only license that 32 core cluster for, I don't know, 16 cores. Elastic Currency will allow you to plug the gap. So you can use high performance computing licensing for whatever cluster you have, and it works the same in the cloud. Very important that we understand this. If you're using a 120 core cluster in the cloud, you still need to license all the cores, right? It works exactly the same way as if you're working on using on-premises hardware. So that's what Elastic Currency does. You can use software, you can use HPC, and of course, you can use the hardware. Can you guess what the cheapest thing to use is out of these three? The hardware. As I've mentioned a million times on this call, we don't care about making money on it. We're trying to give it away pretty much at cost. And when you spend a lot with Microsoft, the cost goes down, right? So checking out hardware is super easy. There's also a second flavor of Elastic Currency. It would make far more sense if it was called hardware currency, but marketing have seemed fit to call it managed hardware solution. I don't know why. But if you are happy with your software estate, if you're happy with your HPC estate and you believe that will service all of your requirements, you can buy a second flavor. Let's just call it hardware currency, where it can only be used for hardware. Okay, so high level, guys, high level. There's 2 products. There's the cloud subscription, and then there's the Elastic Currency, or if you're only using hardware, the hardware currency, and it will service all of your requirements. How Ansys Cloud is priced? You purchase your starter pack, 5,000 currencies plus Cloud Essentials subscription. You select the hardware you want to use when you go to push it to solve. You select the number of nodes, cores you want to use. That will trigger how much HPC licensing is used, and then you select the solver. Pretty easy. And 2, 3, and 4, assuming you're not already using your on-premises solver or HPC workgroup, will be redeemed against the pool of Elastic currencies you have. I appreciate that's a lot of information to consume and process, but I promise you, when you spend 5 or 10 minutes looking at this in more detail, it's pretty easy to understand. I give you 5,000 tokens. You can spend those tokens however you want, right? Oh, here you go. 6 describes it all perfectly. If you already have licenses and HPC licensing, use your currencies to plug the gap. Pretty easy. How do you track your AEC usage? Well, if you already have access to the licensing portal, that's how you do it. A little thing will populate on the left called Elastic Reporting. You go into your usage transaction, you export a CSV file, and you can run a pivot table and you can have loads of fun seeing what your users are doing, seeing what projects are being used, seeing what machines are being used. It's great fun. October 10th, literally 1 month away, we introduce user controls. We don't really talk about it here, but we're so close to the finish line, it's worth talking about. Where your ASC, your Ansys Support Coordinator, can define how, token usage on an individual level and project usage as well. That's a real game changer, actually, and that'll be really exciting to see that rolled out. So you have real granularity, real visibility on the reporting of AECs, and you can get a lot of data from it as well. Packaging and hourly rates. Look, we got 9, is it 7? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. We have 8 different virtual machines in the Ansys platform. All have different node types, all have different RAM capacity. Each one has a different hourly rate. That hourly rate relates to the Elastic currency. It's not reflected in real world currency. If you buy 5,000 Elastic currencies, the H16R costs 1.83 Elastic currencies per hour. It is kind of straightforward, really. And then on the right, you've got, if you were checking out solvers and HPC packs and all that kind of stuff, that also has an hourly rate. Okay, so you could very quickly ascertain, what's it going to cost me to spend 1 hour solving, and then you get it. And we actually have a cloud calculator that you can use to figure some of this stuff out. After all that, and it's a lot of information to pack into an hour, but it really is a very easy product to use. It's a method for solving. It's a way to solve faster, and it's another way to consume our software. If as I mentioned, if you find yourselves in periods of time where you need access to additional solvers for whatever reason, Elastic Currency has got your back. It will help you out, but try it. Okay, the Ansys Cloud free trial is very easy to set up. You go to ansyscloud.com/cloud-trial, punch in your details. I'll grab them on the other end. I'll find an engineer for you, and we'll set you up with a trial. And I always say, bring your own benchmark. You're going to have a job in mind that you want to test in the cloud. Great, bring it. Let's drop test this thing. Define your use case, request a cloud trial, see how it compares, and we take it from there, really. And this is, again, just a very high level thing. What does it look like when you go to push your job to cloud compute? It's going to give you a recommended machine. We wouldn't be very good at our jobs if we did all that benchmarking just to let you, again, pick one of 7 machines. We're going to say we think you should use this machine. We think it's better. And if you go, okay, well, how much do you know? How can I take your word for it? Click the question mark. You'll go through to our cloud forum. That's kind of a data repository. You can talk to our engineers. It's another way to engage with us without kind of a support ticket or talking to your accounts team. Question mark, go to our cloud forum. There'll be a bunch of stuff that's already written, why the HC44 for this type of job. But if you want to know more, post an article, and within, I don't know, a few hours, our engineering team will get back to you with an appropriate response. Do not underestimate the power of the cloud forum. I use it all the time. I don't know everything. I sometimes pretend to be a customer just to see if these guys are on form, and they are. All right. And lastly, follow us on LinkedIn and all the other stuff. We're on social media. And that's it. Thank you for your time today. I hope that was an interesting lunch and learn.
Thanks a lot,
Any
Dean.
questions?
Yeah, I just want to say, is there any questions from the audience or the attendees? I think, as you said, Dean, I think there's a lot of information to cover within an hour, and you've done an excellent job in doing that. So I think some of these people might just want to have a look at the recording again, digest the information. I'm sure we'll get some questions afterwards. And then also, as you said, there's the free trial available. You can just get in touch with us, or on that website, I'll resend it to everybody just to get in touch with Dean also, because you're all eligible to try your case within Ansys in Ansys Cloud. So I think on that's everything from us for today. Thanks a lot, Dean, for your time, and again, making time to take us through all of this information. And I'm sure we'll be in touch with some questions during the week.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to present. And as I mentioned before, my door is always open. Just go through Danny or whoever. And yeah, lovely. Thank you for the opportunity to present.
Thanks a lot. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.
You too, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.